Should I just sit here? Ashtaushitalam kagra manasa susamahitaha prema gadgaraya vacha tamnyasta hridayekshana shiparadu vacha brahmadaya suragana munayota siddha satvaikatana gatayo vacha sampravahe Naraditum Puruganararana Pipipru Kim Toshtamarhati Same Hari Ugrajate Manyedana Bijana Rupa Tapasutaujas Teja Prabhava Bala Paurusha Buddhi Yoga Naradanaya Hibhavanti Parasya Pungso Bhaktya tutosha bhagavan gajayuta paya Vipradvishad gunayatara ravinda nabha Padara vinda vimukhat shvapachamba rishtam Yeta darpita manova chanehi tarta Pranam punati sakulam nataburimana Naivatmana prabhurayam nijalabha purno Manam jarada vidushat karano vranite Yadyashjana bhagavate vidithita manam Tachatmane pratimukasya yatha mukashri Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you
Hare
for
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So first, we just wanted to tell everyone thank you for coming, but also to have high enthusiastic levels because we have a very fun session planned for all of you today. As you all know, His Grace Vaisesika Prabhu has released his new book, Haribol!
How many of you already have the book? Wonderful.
So the book is titled The Four Questions, and we're really going to quiz all of you today, not just on the book, but a lot of other topics as well. So first, we're going to begin by asking you to get the mics ready. So you guys, if you know the answer, you can answer it. And we're going to try to give you a preview of what the rest of the session is going to be today. So try to answer the questions as fast as possible. But my first question to you is, who can tell me one out of the four questions? Raja.
What is my purpose?
Eva. All right, next question.
How may I be of service?
Okay, I'm seeing so many hands, yes. All right, Kundri? One more, Balaram.
What's the lesson?
That's a really smart way of doing it. And just to help you, just like Balaram did, we will be handing out wristbands. So please make sure to participate and you will get a wristband. So with that being said, oh yes, here are the wristbands. We'll hand them out. With that being said, we're now going to ask Marge a few questions about the book itself. So I'll hand it over to Halayuda.
Hare Krishna, everybody. So Marge, we just want to hear from you a little bit, the insider details about this book, why you wrote this book, and how it's relevant to all of us.
I saw the need for what we are calling now bridge books, that devotees wanted a book that they could give to a friend, a cousin, a family member who wasn't acquainted yet with Krishna consciousness, and it was written in such, that would be written in such a way that they could get an idea of what it was, and it was spoken in a language that they could understand immediately and appreciate. Did I get one right? If I got it right, I need to get a wristband or something. Okay.
Thank you, Marge. And for all us youth that are present here, is this book meant for the youth too? What can we do with it?
Oh, it's especially meant for the youth. I do everything with the youth in mind, but the youth here are so advanced. They're not like youth in other places around the world. All of you, as far as intelligence and Krishna consciousness go, are leaders in the world. So I wrote it with an idea to give a template, ways in which you can teach it to other people who don't know about Krishna consciousness yet.
And Marge, you wrote 4 questions in this book, but a lot of kids I was speaking to are asking me, why did you choose those 4 questions out of all the questions you can ask?
I thought about it and tried to cover those questions that most paralleled what was in the scripture. For instance, what is my purpose? It's very much like Tato Brahma Jignasa. What is the lesson? It's very much like Tattenu Kampam Susimikshimano Bunjana Ivatma Kritam Vibhakam. Don't ask why me, but ask what's the lesson in this? And then, of course, Jayato Visham Pumsam and other verses about where you place your attention, that or Purusha Prakritisto Hi. There's indicators Krishna gives about where we give our attention, Vyavasayatmika Bhudir, etc. That's going to determine the outcome. So it was a consideration of what matched with Shastra and what were questions that would make a difference in people's lives fundamentally.
That makes sense, Marge. One thing you mentioned earlier was the idea of a bridge book. What does that mean for those who don't know what a bridge book is?
Well, example is, I saw for a long time that when people would meet somebody who was unacquainted with Krishna consciousness, they would pick a book that they thought the person would be able to resonate with. For instance, Solis Radhanath Swami's book, The Journey Home. I would hear people say, oh, yeah, I gave that to my cousin or my friend or somebody who didn't know about Krishna consciousness yet, because they had a feeling that it would be something they could relate to. A bridge book also is a book that explains all the terms. It doesn't take anything for granted. For instance, if you use a term like bhakti yoga, we take time to explain what that is. Or if we say Krishna, you have to explain who Krishna is early on in the book, so people have context of what who you're talking about, what you're talking about. So Bridge Book goes out of its way, or I should say the author goes out of his or her way when writing a Bridge Book to explain things as if you're talking to somebody who doesn't know anything about Krishna consciousness yet.
Thank you, Marge. So would you recommend all of us to go take this book and give it to our friends, our teachers, our family? Because it sounds like anybody can read it, right?
I'll let you decide. You read it, and if you like it, you can offer it to somebody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marge. Just building upon some of the things you said, another question that we had was if we were to give it to a friend or colleague, what is something that we can say before giving them the book?
I know the person who wrote this. In Los Angeles, in Santa Monica, there's a big mall called the Promenade. And we used to go and distribute books there, but then they passed an ordinance. And it said that you can't sell any book here unless you're the author. And for a long time, I always thought, I'm going to write a book and then go back there. And when they come up to try to kick me out, it's like, nope, sorry.
Thank you, Marge. You were also talking about a few verses, and you were saying how this book, these questions were inspired by Shastras. Could you give us a few more verses, maybe, and connect it with one of the questions?
Starting with the first book, the first question, what is my purpose? We have, amazingly, the first aphorism of the Vedanta Sutra, Atato Brahma Jignasa, which is remarkable. I always found it remarkable because it's the admonition that now that you become a human, you should ask the question, what's the purpose of life? Ask a big question like that. And for the others, what's the next one? Hold on. How may I be of service? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Goswami that your eternal situation is that you're a servant. And I always love the example that Prabhupada gave, that if you know what your service is and you're able to connect to it, he gave the example. Bridge books also use a lot of analogies, which are like thought bridges. People can easily get a philosophical concept. So I've always loved the principle of the tiny screw. When it's detached from the machine, then it is of little value or no value. But once it's connected, then it has a great purpose and value, and it's connected in a sense. It doesn't have a sense, but we can give the analogy of us connecting to our service like a tiny screw, then it has great value. So that's our constitutional position, to be in service.
Thank you, Marge. And then, you can clap. And since a lot of you have already gotten the book, I'm sure you've observed a lot of the beautiful painting or beautiful images that are in the book. So Maharaj, we wanted to ask you, where was the inspiration behind those images and what made you to choose them?
Well, we're really lucky to have a few artists. We have Rukmini Chandrika and then Padma Malini, who lives in London. I've always known her as an artist, and she's done work before. And then Rukmini's famous for her artwork. There's one other devotee that worked on the artwork, and he joined the team also. And I noticed how Prabhupada went out of his way to put art in books. He thought it was vitally important. And when I first received Prabhupada's books, one of my preoccupations was looking at the pictures and reading the captions. I'd look at them over and over again because they were so unusual and they told a story. And I felt that it was important to present that as part of it and make it more compelling for people to look at.
Thank you, Marge. And last question about the book before
I just say that, the art, it was extremely time consuming. It was a creative process. There were so many ideas the artist sketched up, and then we had to discuss them over and over again, see where they were placed in the book, and they worked really hard at it. They came up with dozens of renditions, ideas for things, and then, of course, we had to winnow out the ones that we couldn't use. I'll try to contain myself from now on. Go ahead.
Thank you, Marge. And another question I had about the book is, there's a few features in there that many other books may not have, so can you talk about those?
Well, there is a few, there at the end of the chapters, there's an activity that you can do. It gives a summary of the main points in the chapter. And then there's, I forgot what we called it. What? Journal prompts, which is asking them to engage in some activity to enact the suggestions that were in the chapter itself. So it's kind of a little homework assignment that they can use when they go away. So that's kind of unique, right?
And our last question to you for this segment is, could you possibly show us one of your favorite art pieces from the book?
Yeah, I know which one to go to right away. It's the one with the tree. Can you find it? She's watering the tree, and then there's it goes over on 2 pages. I mean, I like them all, actually. We went over all of them so carefully, and I think they're all brilliant. But I like this one especially because there's this expression of how when you water the root, then something amazing happens. I was just noticing today, I had to transplant a bougainvillea that I had in a pot because I saw in Bhubaneswar they grow so nicely. My gardener kept warning me that it probably wouldn't grow here, but I did it anyway. So I rescued it. It was looking a little bit withered, and I planted it in the ground. It was getting more heat and light, and I started watering it, even though I didn't need to water it that much. And then this morning, I just noticed there are a lot of plants coming up right around it, and I thought, if you water anything, it'll grow. And it's just such a beautiful principle that Lord Chaitanya taught through the metaphor of gardening, and that the Bhagavatam talks about. If you water the root, then some magic happens. A little water. Water's miraculous in and of itself.
Thank you so much, Marge. This wraps the first segment.
Yay.
So we have four more segments for you all. So for the next 4, we're really going to need everyone to be quiet because it's going to require a lot of concentration. So can you all do that for us?
Yes.
Okay. So we have Rinda Rania, who will be timing. I think you can come up here, Rinda, if that's easier for you. And so, can someone remind me again what the first question is? I'm going to give the mic to you, so it's not too chaotic.
What is my purpose?
Thank you, Reja. So we have rapid fire questions under this category, what is my purpose? So there's going to be 5 questions, and Hayuda will lead the segment, and Rindaranya will have a 15-second timer. So please be quick with your answers. And also, if it's quiet, it's going to help everyone more.
So to explain a little bit further, I'm going to ask for 5 volunteers for this first segment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can all come up here. And before I begin, I'm going to ask each of you to say your name and your age.
I'm Balaram and I'm 9 years old.
I'm Gorika and I'm 10 years old.
I'm Raja and I'm 9 years old.
I'm Archita and I'm 10.
We need one more volunteer for the 5th person, I thought. And what's your name and age?
My name is Mahi and I'm 9 years old.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So I'm going to ask each of them one question, and like we said, we have to answer it as fast as possible. So don't think too much. Just say what comes from your heart, okay? And remember that these are about the first question, what is my purpose? So for Balaram, the first question I have for you is, what is a Krishna conscious goal or dream you have?
To play more mridanga.
Okay, for Gorika, the question I have for you is, where do you see yourself in 5 years in the temple?
I see myself being an awesome harmonium player.
Okay, Vraja, number 3. This is an interesting one. Do you brainstorm your goals, or how do you plan for whatever you want to achieve in life? Do you have any way you do that?
Well, sometimes when I'm bored, I just think like something that could, some of the goals I could achieve.
Nice. Okay, Mahi, right? The 4th is for you. In your Krishna conscious life, what is your biggest motivator?
Mostly to spread Krishna consciousness by doing book distribution.
Yeah. And number 5, name one person who inspires you the most in your bhakti.
Krishna.
Thank you to all our volunteers. Can we get a big round of applause for them? You guys can go back to your seats. Thank you. So did you guys like how we did that? That was just segment number 1. Faster. So now that you guys have a taste for how it goes, when we have future volunteers, we're going to challenge you to say your answers even faster because we want it to be rapid fire, okay?
So would it be too much if I asked you, we'll do it in 10 seconds? I don't know if you saw, but there was a timer on the screen. So we're going to try to make it a little harder. If it gets too hard, it's okay. So again, we'll need complete silence, and we'll need, before we start, actually, what is the second question? I'm going to see if someone...
How may I be your officer?
Thank you so much. So again, complete silence. It's going to help you concentrate. It's going to help the participants concentrate. And hopefully you can see why this book is so beneficial from the answers that are being given. So we'll need 7 volunteers. You can raise your hand.
Somebody new.
We're going to try to get people who haven't participated. Okay, Advaita, Sadhu, Aradhya, Brajaras Bhavana. Do you want to come up? Oh, sorry. Wait, that's what I said. Brajaras Bhavana. 2, 4.
Madhav.
Madhav.
So how many? Set it on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need one more.
Oh.
You're not. Okay, so we need 2 more. You want to come?
We're going to need complete silence. And Shriji Priya Mataji, you can come up. We also do need to be a little bit more in the frame, so if everyone can kind of squeeze. Shh. Do we have 7? Okay, so we're going to ask everyone to say their names and age.
Hare Krishna, I'm Aradhya and I'm 9.
Hare Krishna, I'm Advaita and I'm 18.
Hare Krishna, I'm Brajarasa Bhavana. I am 19.
Hare Krishna, I'm Madhav and I'm 9.
Hari Bol, I'm Shriji Priya. I'm 44 years old.
Hare Krishna, I'm Sadhu Vrindavan Das. I'm 16 years old.
We need one more participant. Do you still want it? No? It's okay. Who's someone? Bhakti. Maybe the ones who are a little shorter, come closer. Do you want to say your name and your age?
Hare Krishna, my name is Bhakti. I'm 7 years old.
So we will have a timer up on the screen. This time it will be for 10 seconds, if that's okay. And I'm going to give the harder questions to the older people. Yeah. So the first question will be to Brajaras Bhavana. And please fill, actually, that's a little too easy for you. So I'll give you another question. In your opinion, what is the hardest service at temple?
Working with other devotees.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Brother Raspavana. I appreciate the honest answer. The next question, to Sadhu Vrindavan, what attitude do you keep during your service?
I think I try to keep a humble attitude towards when I serve.
For Advaita, what is service in Sanskrit?
Seva.
I know, it's hard. It's going to get a little harder here and there. Okay, to Bhakti, can you name your favorite service?
My favorite service is making garlands with my mom for the baby.
To Aradhya, can you name 3 services at temple that you've seen or you do yourself?
Cooking, cleaning, and singing.
All right. Madhav, do you want a hard one? It's not that hard, but I will give it to you. So you can fill in the blank. Your seva will dash. Okay, Marge says this often. We'll give you a few extra seconds, so don't worry. Marge always says, your seva will
Save you.
And lastly, but not least, Chitriji Priya Mataji, can you name someone and the service they do that you truly appreciate?
Shamrup Prabhu, who gives us every month, we all together do 32 rounds in a month. It is the greatest service. He constantly encourages all the devotees in the group, remind us, and he encourages. That is the best thing I do. Without Shamrup Prabhu, I cannot do once in a month 32 rounds. Jai Hari.
Thank you all to our 7 participants. We have wristbands for you that you can grab as you're sitting down. And we'll also give it to everyone who's participated, so thank you so much. And we're moving to the last few segments. I'm going to hand it over to Halyuba.
Okay, so who can tell me the third question? I'm going to ask somebody who hasn't already answered.
What is a lesson?
Okay. For this segment, I will need 5 new volunteers. 1, 2, in the back. Back? In the back. Govind Prabhu? Govind Prabhu. So we have 4. We need 1 more. Green shirt. Oh. What is this question? What is a say you on? What is the lesson? What make sense? Just be really Casey really.
Yeah, that's it. That's one.
Okay, just like usual, I'm going to give the mic to each of them to introduce themselves. You don't have to say your age, but you can say your name.
Hare Krishna, I am Palika Devi Dasi.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, my name is Ambarish.
Hare Krishna, my name is Samya.
Hare Krishna, my name is Radhika.
Hare Krishna, I'm Govindas.
Okay, wonderful. I'm going to start with the young ones first. So, the question I'm going to ask you is, name somebody who teaches you good lessons in life.
Krishna.
Wow. Good job. Your turn.
Pretty safe answer.
Do you want an easy one or a challenging one?
Easy.
Easy? Okay. Okay. I'm going to ask you to fill in the blank. It's one of Marge's sayings, just like before. And I'll say the line and you fill in the blank, okay? Live like a...
We have an actor as well, if you need help. Do you need help? You can look at him.
If you need a hint, live like a...
Lotus.
Lotus. That's one of Marge's lessons recently. That's why we brought it up. Okay. How about Ambarish next? Ambarish, what's a lesson that you admire that you've learned in Krishna consciousness?
One thing I would that I really stuck with me was just to be humble, and like regardless of your like position.
Thank you. Mataji, in the scriptures that you've read, can you name one character who's learned a lesson from somebody else?
The character that, the lesson learned by the character, I like Hu in Gajendra Moksha. You want me the lesson also?
Yeah, you can say a little bit about it. So for those who don't know, what is the lesson and who is the character?
So when Devala Rishi was doing his austerities in the water, Hu playfully pulls Devala Rishi's leg. So and then even doing such mistake, Devala Rishi was so merciful that he gives Hu an opportunity to become a crocodile, but still he gets the darshan of Lord Vishnu. So here I see two lessons that I take it from myself is like, if somebody does a mistake or somebody hurt your feelings, how compassionate you should be, to how forgiving you should be. And the second lesson is that when you get a punishment from a devotee, it is for our benefit. There's nothing called as a curse. It's always a benediction, either in a harder way or a softer way. That's what I learned.
Okay, Govind Prabhu, you're a very intelligent man, so I'm going to ask you a challenging question. Prabhu, in the English language, what is the most important or the most powerful punctuation mark?
Punctuation mark.
Punctuation mark. Hint, it's related to the 4 questions.
Oh,
4,
yeah.
3.
The question mark is the most important.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Athato Brahma Jigyasa.
Yes, yes. Very well, thank you. Let's give a round of applause for all our volunteers.
So it really shows who's been reading the book. But thank you to all our participants. This is our last segment. And again, I'll ask the audience one more time if everyone can be quiet and respectful when there's participants up. It really helps them as well. So what is the last question?
Where am I investing my attention right now?
Thank you, Kaylee. And for this segment, we'll need 5 new volunteers. Naina Manjari. Any more? 3 more. Shastra and Tejas.
Shastra and Tejas.
And Abhay. And since we have some of the older youth, sorry, not older, but youth, I'm going to make it a little harder for you guys. I'm going to give you 5 seconds, if that's okay with the broadcast team. Can we get 5 seconds? And we'll give you two a little longer, but for the youth, we're going to do 5 seconds. So please introduce yourself.
Name and age.
Name and age.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, my name is Naina Manjari and I'm 9 years old. Hare Krishna, my name is Geeta Priya and I'm 6 years old.
Hare Krishna, my name is Shastra Saraprada Das and I'm 21. Hare Krishna, I'm Abai and I'm 5 years old.
Hare Krishna, I'm Tejas and I'm 22 years old.
Okay, so the first question is to Geeta Priya. Can you tell me what you spend the most time on?
Chanting my rounds.
The next question will be to Nayana Manjari. Thank you. Can you tell me what is one thing that you do every day without fail?
Probably doing my chanting or reading some of Journey Home. I read it a little bit every day.
All right. The next question will be for a 5-year-old, Abhay. So can we please have the 5-second timer up? For a 5-year-old, 5, like perfect. Okay. Are you ready? Okay. What are you thinking of right now?
Krishna.
Marge said this. It's a very safe answer. Next, we'll give it to Tejas.
Will I get a 22-second timer?
No, next time. Next time. Are there any books or shlokas you are reading right now?
I'm reading Chaitanya Charitamrit, currently Rup Shiksha.
That was perfect. Exactly like 0 seconds. That was perfect. All right. Okay, can you fill in the blank? Okay, if you don't get this, I will be a little disappointed in you because Marge says this often. So if you're not listening, it will really show. Where attention goes, dash.
Energy flows.
Thank you so much to all of our 5 volunteers. Haribo. So now that was our last segment, and now we will be moving on to asking Marge some questions. Marge, is there a particular number you like a lot?
8.
Okay, we'll do an 8-second timer.
Okay.
So just for context, these questions will be either related to Maharaj or related to his writing of the book. So I just wanted to preface with that. The first question we have for you, Maharaj, is how many years did it take for you to write this book?
3.
Maharaj, what is your favorite question?
How may I be of service?
All right. Okay. What was your first service?
Washing pots.
What's one of your favorite quotes?
Great discoveries come only unto the prepared mind.
What is your favorite food?
Avocado. Who does? Okay.
The next question, Maharaj, is what was the hardest part about writing this book?
Getting started. Actually signing the books outside.
What is your favorite part about the book?
working together with the other devotees in a creative process.
How often do you change your diet?
Ask Nirkula.
What is your favorite?
What? Often.
What is your favorite color to wear?
Blue.
Which type of blue?
What?
Which type of blue?
The kind I had on yesterday. Like the kind that Risheshwari Leela has.
What is your shoe size?
14.
What are the color of your eyes?
Blue.
And lastly, what do you want kids to know about these books?
That writing is good for you. Try to write as much as possible, because by writing you can consolidate your realizations, and then you can share them with other people. And everybody should write. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj, for playing that fun questionnaire game with us. You always say that wherever credit should be given, we don't lose anything by giving credit. So we just wanted to thank a few of the devotees who helped us come up with these questions, because I'm sure all of you enjoyed watching devotees answer these questions. So Kaylee Kunjakumari, thank you. We'd like to thank Advaita and then Bhagavata Pran. And also to Vrindaranya. And our last thank you to Raja, who is our minion, for testing all. And for the last few minutes, we'll open it up to the audience before we make some announcements. Do any of you have questions that you want to ask Maharaj?
Preferably related to the 4 questions. Yes, Manjulikanta Mataji.
Maharaj, could you share with us one funny anecdote, anything that happened during the making of the book or the signing of the book, anything that you remember that was very funny or something noteworthy?
Well, when we were at Sadhu Sangha, I thought I saw that Mahi was distributing books, and that I think she approached Radhanath Maharaj. And the picture of him just made me realize the potencies she had, because he looked like his heart was melted and he just wanted to take the book. So I really liked that.
Nayana Manjuri has a question.
Hare Krishna, I just wanted to ask, what inspired you to write the 4 questions?
There's another book I've read. It's called The 4 Agreements, and I read it and I found it to be concise, and it's a very popular book. So I thought of writing something that was also concise and also had 4 distinct sections. And the main inspiration was that devotees have asked frequently for books that they could present in it that would be introductory. So people, for the first time they're getting it, could understand it right away. So I wanted to write a bridge book that would fill that need. That was my main inspiration for it. And then I modeled it after that book called The 4 Agreements. I just looked at the kind of way in which he put it together. There are some obvious differences, but the presentation was inspired by that.
Thank you, Maharaj. We'll have Brajaras Pavana, and then Gorika, and then Mukarvan Prabhu. And Raseshwari Mataji. And then a few others, but
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
How did you become a great writer?
Is that a trick question?
About your process and what you worked on.
I have a little sign on my desk that I clipped at one point. It said, "Don't try to write a book. Try to gather information. Then put the information together, and then you can consolidate it in writing." And writing's always been therapeutic for me. I did a lot of writing in university studies, and I found it to be a kind of self-realization process. I remember handing in some papers, and the teacher would write in the margins that you're not being vulnerable. You're not actually telling who you are. You're hiding something. She could tell. Her name was Catherine Lucas. She was a really good English teacher. And I always found it to be a challenge, that once I took the challenge and I was able to get into the mode of actually expressing what was real and true, and getting into a zone where I wasn't procrastinating, where I actually be in the creative flow of writing, I found that to be an extremely helpful way to control the mind, and also to be able to get a deeper understanding of what I'd already heard.
Gorika?
I hope my answers aren't too long.
How did you feel when you were writing this book?
I felt, thank you for the question. At times, I felt challenged, because writing a book to me is always a big challenge, because there are many parts to it. Even writing an essay, you have to really think about it. And for me, I have to write several I have iterations until I get frustrated, and then I give up, and that's when I can really start writing. But for writing a book, what was the question again? How did I feel? Right. So I felt, at some points I felt like I was swimming in an ocean. Because with a book I always feel like I can't see the shore, but I just have to keep swimming and keep doing it. And I had a lot of emotions, but another one, I was always looking forward to it, because we were working with the artists, and we were working with others who were going through the book and looking at the editing and so forth. So it was a joyful process. Frustrated and excited and happy. All those three things.
We're winding down to our last few minutes, so we'll try to make this quick. But Mukaravinda Prabhu, and then Raseshwari Mataji, and then we'll take a few more after that.
Maharaj, like many bridge book, what I noticed this book, that almost in every page you will find Krishna there. Is that was purposefully you had done that? That I see that whichever page I open, is there Krishna there? So I really appreciated and deeply admired that the thought process that gone. But I was curious to know that it was like a purposefully.
Yeah, it's very purposeful. It's a BBT book. It's meant for devotees to distribute. So I couldn't just write a self-help book. I wouldn't want to anyway. And I had to write it in such a way that it would be accessible to people. And in talking to audiences that aren't acquainted with Krishna consciousness, I get a kind of an idea of what level I can present it at. And at the same time, it had to also be compelling for devotees to distribute, because if I didn't say Krishna, or if I just said the divine or the supreme or something, it sounds sort of impersonal. And there is a tipping point at which devotees say, this is not a Krishna conscious book. So I tried to walk a fine line. And I felt that by introducing Krishna at the very beginning of the book and telling who he was in a way that was hopefully sounded non-sectarian, that I was free to use Krishna throughout the book, which is what I wanted to do. Otherwise, I felt constrained and trying to tone down the idea of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is that right?
What will be the topic for your next book?
The one I'm working on now, actually, we're working on a number of books at the same time. It's inspired by an author who is named Isaac Asimov. He wrote about 500 books. And I studied his life a little bit, and he kept a lot of books open at the same time. So the book I'm working on right now, actually we have several manuscripts already from other books. They're just, some of them need to be slightly rewritten, and some of them need more editing. And then there's also a process we have for designing the book and the artwork and so forth. The book I'm writing out right now is a book about japa. And I find one of the most frequently asked questions wherever I go is, how can I chant japa? How can I continue? How can I do 16 rounds? So I have a section in it called Getting to 16 Rounds. And I also have those 4 verses you've probably heard me. They're not verses, they're actually Prabhupada's instructions on japa that I wrote I'm writing a commentary on, and also on the 10 offenses, giving commentary there. So essentially it's a book on japa, but the other ones, there are quite a few more that are pretty far along. And a lot of them come from topics that we speak on and we prepare for, and then it gives a way to consolidate the information and then repackage it in such a way that it could be in a book and be made available. Hare Krishna.
Vaisesika Leela Mataji. Vaisesika Leela Mataji.
Yeah, I think my question was actually already sort of answered. I was very impressed to see Krishna on every page of the book, and also that it's a BBG book. So I really wanted to express my gratitude for showing by your example your steady, loyalty to Srila Prabhupada by writing a BBT book. Actually, your previous book, Our Family Business, is also a BBT book. I noticed that when newcomers who may not be Krishna conscious, and that's how this book is written, who have easy access to this book will access BBT.
Mm-hmm.
And that really made me feel so happy.
Well, thank you for noting that. Actually, we've compiled, Ekachakra Pran Prabhu helped immensely with this, compiling quotations from Prabhupada about how he wanted his followers to write. And I mean, there are numerous quotes where he brought it out. One of them says, when you do publish through the BBT. And I wanted it to be, a BBT book goes through a special process. You have to put it through a review board. They don't tell you who's on it, but there's several people who read the book and see if it's appropriate. And I felt like I had a long discussion with Radhika Raman Prabhu when we stayed there in Utah with him in Utah. Because people have 2 minds about writing BBT books. Some feel Prabhupada already wrote all the books. There's no need to write anything more. And how dare you write another book? And others feel like unless Prabhupada's followers can write books that will have effect on the world, what was his potency? I've always felt more like that. I do feel that Prabhupada's books are always, now and always, forever, the primary books. And I emphasize distribution of Prabhupada's books. And this is a bridge book only to interest new people so that they can come into reading all of Prabhupada's books, nothing separate. Radhika Raman Prabhu's opinion was that unless he gave the example of Shakespeare in English literature. Millions of people have written papers and books about Shakespeare, or Shakespeare-esque types of poetry and so forth, but it's obviously following the line of Shakespeare. And he said, far from taking away from Shakespeare, it actually shines a light and says how great of a writer he was, that everyone's so interested in analyzing what he wrote, what to speak of writing more books. He said, in the same way, if an acharya comes and then after him, his students can't produce any books, and Prabhupada mentioned that himself. When he was writing books and he was getting criticized by his godbrother, he said, where's all their books? They can't write anything. He found that to be a fault. So Radhika was saying, around every acharya, there should be those who are following that can also produce a caliber of book that's parampara, that also attracts the modern audience. And that's what Prabhupada writes about in the first canto, fourth chapter, in the very first purport, that's what's called realization. That you should say the same things, but you should say it in a language that the modern audience can appreciate. And then Prabhupada said that's the definition of realization. And he emphasized so many times that we should try to write, because that's what Prabhupada did. He was always writing, and he knew the value of it, so he asked us to write. So I wanted it to be a BBT book. When I wrote Our Family Business, there was no objection to that, because who's going to object to a book about distributing Prabhupada's books? And writing a bridge book through the BBT is a bit of a risk, because somebody along the line is going to say, how dare you? We don't need any other books. But I wanted to do it because I felt like it's important to explore how this can contribute overall, and how it can represent what Prabhupada wrote, but to an audience that is really receptive. And I always felt like having that type of book is a calling card. I've seen it before. If you have a book, people will invite you here, there, and everywhere to talk about it. And that happened when we did the program at Stanford. And Narsingha Prabhu was so instrumental in connecting with Raghu Prabhu, and then it started a real deep conversation just because of the book. I just see that with books, if somebody takes the trouble to write down their thoughts and put it in a cover, which is not an easy task. It looks like a small thing. It's like, that thing, I could write that overnight. But it's like building a house. You have to have subcontractors to get everything done. Every aspect of a book, and plus it has to be perfect. You have to check it 10 times, 20 times, 30 times, and that's what's happened, even with a small book like this. And now I interrupted my train of thought. Where was I going with that?
Your inspiration to write it as a BBT book.
Yeah. So, yeah, right. And so I wanted a book that could be a calling card. I couldn't introduce Our Family Business to everybody. Like, I once gave one to my doctor. I had a really good doctor for a long time. And I gave her the book, and she really appreciated it. But still, it's like, it's not on her level. It's more of an internal book, so I didn't feel satisfied. But now, if I say, oh yeah, I wrote a book, people, either order it on Amazon or they'll take the book from me, and then we can have a real conversation about it. I wanted to write it like that, and BBT, Prabhupada encouraged us to write through the BBT, so that's why. Thanks for noticing. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Unfortunately, we're running out of time for questions, but we'll give it another chance maybe later for you to ask Maharaj. I actually just had some quick announcement, which is that all of us are really excited about this book. So we've set up an opportunity for you to participate in the upcoming monthly Sankirtan Festival, because we'll have 4 weeks where in each week we're going to have a call where you can join. We'll read 1 hour of the book each of those 4 weeks. And that way, you don't have to even read it yourself. If you just come to these 1 hour sessions, you can hear the book, and then know everything about it. So that hopefully when you go out this summer break for Sankirtan and book distribution, you know exactly what the book is about when you distribute it to others. So maybe you can have a raise of hands who's interested in this MSF goal. Jai, Haribol. We also have one more temple summer reading program coming up, where we're going to be picking one small Srila Prabhupada book. And if you join us in completing this goal, you'll be receiving a prize in September from Youth Jam team. August or September, we'll confirm. September. Janmashtami MSF, so in September you can get your prize. So please do join us for these 2 upcoming MSF goals, and I hope to see you all there.
And lastly, we'd like to thank Manjula Kanta Mataji for helping us curate these questions and organizing everything. And we'd also like to thank Guruma and Maharaj for giving us their time and answering all the silly and serious questions we had. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Well done. We have a little kirtan, and then Hare Krishna. I have nothing to play. Do you have something? Okay. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate. You got anything else? Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatate Shatarne Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bhakti, go.
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Sing with her, together.
Hare Krishna
Go Premanande. Hare Krishna. Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakajarya Satyashishi Madhav Pai Charanada Vinda Bhaktivedanta Sai Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajakajarya Stotara Satyashishi Mad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Gahok Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktarini Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Kokopina Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Sri Vrindavanam Ki Jai Sri Mayapur Navditam Ki Jai Sri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Tulsi Devi, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Jamuna Devi, Ganga Devi Ki Jai, Samveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. So, Nirkula and I are going to New York on Thursday for the Ratha Yatra, and we have some other engagements in New York, and we'll leave from there on the following Wednesday, if I'm not incorrect, and we're going to visit the devotees in London, and then from there I'm going to a meeting in Sweden, and Nirkula is going to stay with some old friends and god sisters in London. It's very important to us at this time of our lives to take advantage of association of our god siblings as much as possible. It becomes more and more meaningful for us as time goes on and god siblings leave the world. Then we relish the time even more, knowing how precious it is. And after that, I'll meet up again with Nirakula in London, and we'll be there for about 10 days for programs, and we will make a stop in the world-famous temple in Wales, because they're very oriented towards book distribution down there. There's a lively spirit. Devamrita Swami will be there, so we'll have some time with him. We're only going for one day there, and plenty of engagements in London. We're going to be missing you. The slivers of time that we have are so important to us here. We flew back last night late. Everything was delayed, like was only one runway open in San Francisco, so we couldn't take off till later. And we just went down there on Friday. So we're trying to economize as much as possible wherever we go, so we can come back as soon as possible. There's a lot happening here. It's hard for us to see sometimes because we're in the middle of it, but there's a lot of expansion going on and a lot of possibilities that are available, and it's inevitable that we'll continue growing because we're watering and watering and watering and watering and watering, and the results will come, and we'll have to manage the results of those, including developing more infrastructure to hold everybody and everything and all the things that we want to do. I've been working on that regularly, daily, consulting with those who have the wherewithal to develop such projects, and it takes a Herculean effort. We don't want to divert our attention at the same time from book distribution and preaching, so that's a neat trick if you can do it, but that's our intention. And all good things are happening. The course of life in which people come and go from this world or move to different places, we're always all together because we're all devotees. We're eternal. We'll always be together. I hope that's okay with everyone. If it's not, get over it, because that's the way it is. And, we're really lucky. We have a community that a lot of people really appreciate. And that's our greatest asset, is our relationships. And sometimes relationships get strained, but that happens in any relationship over time, sooner or later. And the important thing is to stick with it and to find how to revive it and be heart to heart. And it takes a lot of work. And that's what makes a strong community, the will to work through any differences, to come to a common understanding of how everything can be harmonized. And things can be harmonized if we work at it. But that's what's really important about a community. So I thank everybody, because, people really notice what you're doing and how you're doing it with such humility and grace. It was a real treat today to meet the teachers who have been teaching in the Vedic Academy for so many years. I really feel overwhelmed by the experience. It's just so much dedication. And in every department, the love and devotion that you're putting into this is really the highest process of devotional service, to do unmotivated, uninterrupted service. So please keep on and take care of one another and try to overcome any kind of differences at any time, and go on hearing and chanting robustly. It really is true that if you chant Hare Krishna carefully and with devotion, that you'll make amazing advancement in devotional service. And we should also keep our hearts engaged in distributing that to other people as much as possible. Don't keep it for ourselves. It's medicine. It's meant to be. We're meant to use our brain power, all the power that you use to get high degrees in universities, use that same kind of IQ to figure out how to revolutionize and expand the distribution of Krishna consciousness. And then most of all, and lastly, when people come into our community, we should be very warm-hearted. No closed groups. Everyone who comes in, we should figure out how can they be part of our community. How can we lovingly embrace them, invite them in? People notice when they walk into a community if they're invited in. There's subtle ways, there's body language, there's the way we speak to people. And to grow and thrive here in Silicon Valley, we have to be very conscious of how precious people are when they walk in the door and they have an interest in Krishna consciousness. We should really try to fan the spark. And the best way to do that is to be kind and become a friend. I've seen devotees come up and just put their arm around someone or invite them in, ask them how they can serve. And it's the best of the best to offer yourself, your kindness, your heart. What we have is invaluable. When other people come in, they should just become part of it. So that's how we'll really please Krishna. So I have such gratitude for all of you. Thank you very much for taking this so seriously. Remember, we can't take anything for granted. Every day is a special gift. We don't know what's going to happen in the world. We don't know what's going to happen in our lives. Every moment is precious, so please take advantage of it. Don't leave anything behind leave it all in the field. Put your whole heart and soul into this. Even if you're young, we don't know what young and old is because this world's totally unpredictable. Maya is no joke. So take everything really seriously. And Prabhupada told one of my godbrothers once, if you follow the 4 regular principles and you chant your 16 rounds every day, you'll become as strong as the Himalaya mountains in your practice of devotional service. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shri Shri Panchatattva, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Lakshmi Shringadev, if you so desire, please protect our community and please let us feel suffering for the suffering of others and try to distribute Krishna consciousness for the benefit of all. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Anyone who agrees with this prayer, in whole or in part, please unmute and say Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. And now we have an announcement I think will be very welcome, which is that we have cake for all our friends. It's as Priya Kishori said, Vrinda's day? Is it her birthday? Vrinda and Balaram. Cake for the going away of Vrinda and Balaram. Just so you know, we'll have a cake waiting for you when you come back too, so hurry up. Gaur Premanande, Vancha Kalpadribhishcha. For 3 months, 6 months. Not a visit.